This video will be concerned with groups and teams, and more specifically we'll be looking at formal and informal groups. So let's start. Start with groups. Groups emerge in different shapes and sizes, different collections of people, different sets of people, different objectives, different compositions and different sizes. That's what we experience around us. Managers belong to several different groups at the same time, and these could include, say, groups at work, not just workers or subordinates, but groups in terms of meeting with other managers, meeting with senior management that could be involved in social groups at work and so on. So managers are involved in groups at work, but they're also involved with perhaps the community. They might be members of some local charity or some local project, which is a group. Again, it could be just social. It could be the local musical society. They're also involved with their families. So probably that's the most important one, but clearly there is a group situation there as well. And also with formally organized groups. Now these could be, again, back to work, groups which have come into existence to achieve some particular objective and are therefore more formally organized. And some may be informal, as in the case of, let's say, the musical society or the local sports society or the art appreciation society or whatever they're a member of in the community, which are perhaps just meet on a quite ad hoc and informal basis. The point here is that the same person, the manager, is a member of many groups. In an organization there are two main types of groups, formal and informal. Now let's have a look at the formal groups within the organization. Formal groups are created by management to accomplish specific targets. So a formal group could be related to development of a new product, and the group could meet on a regular basis. It could have all the trappings of formality, a committee, a chairman, minutes, action plans. The main goal in creating formal groups is to perform specific tasks and achieve objectives. As I said, perhaps to bring a new product into existence, or to change the production system, or to reorganize the office, or whatever. So these formal groups, as I said, have all the trappings of formality. They have meetings, minutes, secretary, chairman, and so on. They consist of individuals cooperating under the instructions of the leader. Now, formal groups are an important element of any organization's structure. Individuals in a formal group share a sense of commonality of objectives, goals and rewards. The individuals in a formal group are all pointing in the same direction. They're all trying to achieve some output, some particular goal. The development of a new product, or reorganizing the office, as I've said, or doing some specific task. So all of them are geared up to the achievement of that task, and they have roles within the group. They have assigned roles, which helps them to make a contribution towards the achievement of the final objective. So formal groups are more likely to accomplish goals to their best ability than would, say, an informal group. An informal group meets now and again. There's no real paperwork involved. It's just a general meeting. So it's unlikely that they will achieve very much. However, a formal group will have activities which are coordinated and channeled towards the achievement of some specific objective. And the people within the formal group have got authority and position. The chairman is an important person. The secretary is important. The secretary is responsible for communications and the accuracy of what's said and who agreed to what, and maintaining some sort of track on action points, who's agreed to do what. So within the formal groups there are positions of authority that are important. And the formal group can apply the division of labour. You can look at the members of the group and see who have got specific skills in certain areas and assign those people to those areas. So specialisms are accommodated. The people within the group have got specific tasks that match their specific abilities. And there's greater cohesion as a result of the goals, because the people know what the outcome is, or what's been targeted. There's greater cohesion. They're all pointing in the same direction. They're all aiming to achieve something. They're all making their contribution, and through the formal group arrangements, each individual's contribution will go to make up the final outcome, which is the achievement of the target that was set. So there's greater cohesion in a formal group. Okay, let's look at Handy introduced, because he introduced a set of organisational motives for developing formal groups. Charles Handy is a famous writer in management studies, and he thinks that the organisational motives for developing formal groups really relate back to the distribution of work activities and skills. So once an objective has been set and a formal group comes into existence, the group wants to have membership of individuals who have got specific skills who can contribute towards the achievement of the final objective. The formal groups are able to manage and control work better than informal ones because there's more record and there's more transparency. People know exactly what they've agreed because they were at the meeting. It's been minuted. It's on paper. So there's a greater control. People know their obligations and what they've agreed to. And problem solving becomes easier because of the number of skills that are involved within the formal group. So if it was the introduction of a new product, there might be an engineer, but there also may be an accountant and a marketing person and a HR person, all bringing to bear their own specific contributions as to what is required and how to go about it. Within the formal group, it's easy to pass information. So it's easy because there are minutes, because there is a secretary, because there's a formal arrangement within the formal group, a formal arrangement for disseminating information, which is, I suppose that's quite logical. And decisions, before they are actually implemented, may be tested and subject to scrutiny, subject to criticism. So if one member of the group comes up with what he or she considers to be a great idea, then it may be put on the table for everyone else to consider, and at that stage it may be criticised, or it may be taken away for review for subsequent testing. And certainly the greater diversity of opinion, because of the wider skill set of the formal group, means that a more informed decision can be made. And because it is a formal group, they can resolve issues. They can sit around the table, having their meeting, and argue out any differences. So agreement comes about. So it really is the formal group and the reasons why we have formal groups within the organisation. Now let's look at informal groups. Well, informal groups form almost outside of the manager's control. Informal groups are casual groups, people joining together for various purposes, usually social or nothing very formal, nothing agreed, just loose arrangements. And by and large, the managers within organisations are not that concerned with these. They don't impinge on the organisation to any great extent. They're self-created. They simply evolve. They're a group of people working together. They find that they have a particular interest in something, so they may form a group to discuss it or to enjoy it or to be involved with whatever it is that binds them together in this context. They emerge naturally without any management setting it up. It happens. It happens. Informal groups simply happen. People get along together. They have a common interest, so they associate with each other on the basis of that common interest. Informal groups can cover a wide variety of areas, for example sport or going to the cinema or indeed just for general chat. Just they enjoy each other's company, so they go and have a coffee and it's an informal group. They talk amongst themselves. Sometimes within business they may form on the basis of departments, so you find that the secretarial staff, for example, may all go and have coffee together, or the technical people may all go and have coffee together. They're an informal group, but they seem to be bound together by their interest. They satisfy a range of needs, the informal groups. Social. People are sociable creatures. They want to belong, and it reduces insecurities and it introduces a sense of belonging, a sense of community. So people like informal groups. As I said, they happen naturally. They're not planned, they just happen. People form friendships. In terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I suppose there is this need for love and support. People just get along together. They have special friendships. They want to chat about, not just about their work, but about what's happening outside, what they saw on television, or about sport, or whatever, a book they're reading right now. The group gives them a sense of identity and self-esteem. Within the group, they want to be interesting within the group, so they want to talk about the book they are reading and tell everybody how marvellous the book is and what the plot's about. Or they may want to go to the cinema and have a particular interest in a genre, a particular type of cinematic genre, perhaps old Western movies or whatever, and it gives them a sense of identity. They can relate to people who have got the same sort of interests, and this is a fulfillment of their social needs. This is what people want. They want to be social. They want to mix together, and they want to be identified, and they want to get along together. And they get their identity partially from this group. Informal groups also, of course, provide a foundation for acceptable behaviour and organisational norms. The group, by and large, who've perhaps got its basis within the working environment, will be by and large, supportive of the working environment. That's where they earn a living. That's where they go to work. So the rules and regulations of the organisation, by and large, will be supported by the group. They may be critical of certain parts of it, or think it's too bureaucratic in some respects, or there's an extra layer of management that's not required, or this is always the case. It's always the case that people will discuss things in this way. But over and above all of that, there is an agreement, perhaps even not spoken, but there is an agreement that the norms of the organisation are correct and it's moving in the right direction. So that's our talk on formal and informal groups, the reason why we get them in the workplace, what their attributes are, and I suppose what they bring to the working experience, what their advantages are. It concludes our talk on this one, so thank you for watching.